I speak a lot about the importance of fathers and fatherhood on my show. And I want to take an opportunity today to discuss some of the things that my father did for me, in support of me, in support of my passions and hobbies and livelihood. Some of the things that he did for me that most people have no idea even existed. So the first thing is, my father was not so much a musician, he was a composer. So we have on the little plaque over there, we have father, husband, composer, not just musician. And a composer is a person who can play music, but they also write music. And my father was a master of this, and he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs that he's written and composed. He has hundreds of demos that he put together. And of course, I've heard all of this stuff. I've studied it from a very young age. And so I always had a model of how you do that from the very first step to the very end, teaching the music to the band, to bringing it to the live show, to the performance onto the stage. My father was a mad scientist. He built his own laboratory with his bare hands. And when I was born into his laboratory, in his recording studio that he built in his house. And this was back probably before even the 90s, before nowadays everybody has a home studio. But he had one of the very first home studios in, I think it was Deerhead Studios it was called, right? And so he had the tape machines and the mixing consoles and the EQs and the compressors, right? Not plugins. He had all the equipment and the gear and the wires. And I remember loving that as a kid because it was like being in a toy shop or like a candy shop. Everything had a different sound. Everything did a different thing. And I had an opportunity to learn how all of this stuff worked from the time I was barely able to walk. And I just think that's really cool that he gave me that opportunity instead of being like, oh, you're not allowed to mess with daddy's things. He was like, no, mess with daddy's things. And here's how it works. And so he did that for me. He gave me that curiosity and he encouraged that. Not everybody's father. No, not everybody is ready to be a father, but mine was. He was way ready. He even wrote a song called Ode to Odie before I was born, dedicated to me being born. So he knew I was coming. It was not a surprise. He was ready, and he even performed the song for me, and he even recorded the song for me. And so I have these records, they exist. In the home studio, my father taught me about the technology. He created opportunities to play with other musicians, skilled musicians, super seasoned guys that he knew that I would not have access to. I was a little toddler, and he had very accomplished drummers, like Kevin on the drums. He left the drums in the house. I was able to play the drums and learn the drums. He had Napoleon, he had Uncle Tom, he had his brother Bill. All of the musicians, always musicians. I was around it every single week, all the time. I heard how they talked. They had a language. They had the jargon and the slang that musicians use to each other to talk about bars and beats. And I was learning this like before I even learned like real normal English. So he did that for me. He never excluded me from that. He also created an opportunity for me to do my very first big recording with Adam, who is here. And he set that up for us, for me and Stravagant, Day and Thomas and Daniel. And we went, and he was like, no, you guys have got to be ready for the studio. He was there at the rehearsals, making sure that we were ready to cut these records. And when we were there, he had his video camera. He documented every single aspect of the process. And those videos still exist today. And you can go watch them. I went and watched them the other day. Amazing videography, amazing sound quality, and Adam's quite a skilled sound engineer himself. And so he created opportunity after opportunity for me to be able to work that muscle in my brain, in my soul, and express that. Whereas a lot of kids don't have that opportunity. He was always there with a video camera. He was always in the front row. He always kind of snuck into the inconspicuous locations to make sure that he had the best camera angle. And that was his main goal for piano recitals, for band performances, for school functions, all of that. All documented on video. Probably you could fill this entire room with the amount of VHS and DVDs that he created, simply documenting my life and trying to give me every opportunity I could to work musically. My father was my biggest fan. He was my biggest supporter. And I also honored him specifically in at least 3 YouTube videos. I have video, well, not video clips, but I have pictures and old footage, cassette tapes, and audio footage of him playing with his band, doing amazing synthesizer solos and playing his harmonica and singing lead vocals better than I could ever sing. So he was very talented, and I have all of this documented, and I'm so glad that I was able to have all of this material and all of this footage to be able to share with the world. And in that sense, he's kind of immortal, because he's really taken his music and cut it into records and tapes and videos and all of these things which his legacy will continue to live on forever and ever and ever. And so he taught me not just how to play keyboards, not just what cool jazz chords to use. He taught me how to create a multimedia experience for my audience. Even if it was 3 people in the audience, there was always multiple elements to it. There was always cutting-edge technology, equipment, production techniques, how to put the right cables into the right thing, how to turn the right knob at the right time, how to do sound, how to run a video camera, how to control white balance and color correction, and how to make sure your camera's in focus and aperture and shutter speeds. All of this stuff that you would have to read books this thick to learn, he was there step by step showing to me and demonstrating to me how to do it, because he supported what I wanted to do that much.